Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the latest update from Fimi on the Navi Mini App 1.0.9. This is my update to the update because it didn't really explain what it updated. So we're going to talk about waypoints, sensitivity, expo, gain, all that kind of stuff. And can we make it fly better? Stay tuned and let's find out. Yes, so when you do update your Navi Mini app, you're told that it fixed known bugs. Nobody knows what that means. I did contact Fimi and I was told that it did redo the calculation errors that they had on the waypoints. And we're going to explore that first. So let's get into the waypoints and then we'll get into the sensitivity and the rest of the stuff. Okay? So here we go. We're going to go into our waypoints. We're going to have the bird in the air. You're going to click the little Martian guy in the bottom right corner and choose waypoints. Okay, let's go. Now remember, you have to be in the air. The craft has to be flying before you can get into this. So you get into your waypoints, or else you wouldn't be able to find history. Get into your waypoints, and we're going to click on history. And when you first click on history, it's going to show you the last 5 historical flights that you've had, or if you've made 5 offline flights or whatever. But as soon as you update your app, if you uninstall and reinstall, then you're going to be back to 0. So like what I did, and I'll show you here in the next one. Now I've already updated my app 1.0.9, and it shows these 2 that I just made offline. It shows these 2 flights, and the calculations are pretty close. It gives me a reasonable distance and the time it takes to fly them. That's great. But if I superimpose what was on prior to 109, then this is what you get. And as you can see, some of these flights, like 5 minutes, technically only 5 minutes long, ended up being an hour. I mean, it's way, way, way out. So they did fix that. So now the calculations are pretty close to being correct, and I'm happy for that. So that's one fix. Good on you, Fimi. Now we're going to look at another thing that's changed. These are 2 images of flights that I had before the 109 update. And the red circle is the 1 kilometer circle. And as you see, I have several waypoints. And the waypoints all default to 44 meters high. And that was an issue. No matter what I made them offline or even online, when I came to recall them, they all said 44 meters. And that was a problem. So this was given to Fimi, and they supposedly fixed it. Well, this is what happens when you install 109 and you recall a flight. Here they are now, and they all say whatever you have put in, they stay there. So that's great. 70 meters, I recall it, it's still 70 meters. Excellent job. Another thing, when you're flying and you go from one waypoint to the next waypoint, there's an orange circle that comes with a minus sign. I have no idea what that does. So during my flights, I tried to tap on it. I was flying it, I tried to tap on the circle with a minus sign, nothing happened. The waypoints are not editable once you've made them. You can delete them, but you can't edit them once you recall it. You could edit them prior to taking off, but you can't edit them once you recall them and look at them. Say you wanted to move one of the points around or make it higher or lower. You can't do that. So they're uneditable once they're put in. So that's enough of the waypoints. So they did make some improvements there, which I'm quite happy with. And I really enjoy the way that that function, that option does work. I do enjoy waypoints. So now let's get back to the main screen here. Another thing I did notice, now I use Android. A lot of people use iOS. And this is a screenshot of Android. Look on the perimeter. Okay, just look on the perimeter of the Android shot to what you see. And I'm going to superimpose an image of what an iOS system looks like. So let's look at the differences. On an iOS system, arrow A, the border, the black border on both sides, completely encompasses the return to home and the camera signals, or the camera, video, button, all that kind of stuff. On an iOS, it doesn't. And on arrow B, you notice the HSVS, horizontal speed, and vertical speed are reversed. Okay, one horizontal speed is on top, the other one horizontal speed is on the bottom. Then you go to arrow number C, and you notice that the video transmission and the radio controller transmissions are reversed. iOS is one way, Android is another. Okay, so those were the main things that I noticed just from a screenshot of each one. Okay, so now let's get into the other end of the update that I just happenstance came across, Expo gain sensitivity. What changed there? So we go into our settings and we go to the aircraft and scroll down to the bottom and you'll see the two options. One is gain and expo tuning and one is gain and expo sensitivity. Let's go into the sensitivity and see if anything's changed. Now in the sensitivity settings, everything's set at 50%. And up in the top right corner is a circle with an arrow, which is the reset button. And in all the previous versions of the app, you could play around with all these things, and as soon as you hit the reset, it would come back to 50%. And each one of these settings adjusts certain things. I've only noticed that the yaw distance was the only one that really made any difference. It slowed down the yaw. I didn't really notice any difference by changing any of the other ones, but I'll get into that later. Right now I'm concentrating on when you hit reset, you can put them wherever you want, it would come back to 50%. But after updating to 1.0.9, you go into your settings and they'll probably still be 50%. But if you change any of them and you hit the return to default settings, the arrow in the top right corner, they come to 60%. I don't know why Fimi changed it, but they did. So as long as you don't change anything, you'll probably still be 50%. But if you go in and hit the circled arrow, it'll go to 60%. What's that going to change? To me, it looks like it speeds things up a bit. I don't know why. But anyway, as I said, the only thing I noticed that made any difference was changing that yaw. So I changed the yaw to about 25%, and that slowed the yaw down nicely. So it wasn't turning around really quick. It was a nice yaw. So that's my settings, is 25%. And everything else I left at 60, and it seemed to be fine. So that was that. So my recommendation is to put the yaw distance down to 25% and leave the rest as it is. Next, we're going to get into the sensitivity of the expo. So here we just back out and we go into the gain and expo tuning section. Okay, and we were presented with a diagram that looks like this. So basically you have three diagrams and they represent your sticks. Basically the first two represent the left stick and the last one's the right stick. And as I'll show you, I tried everything. I went up to 100% on every one of them and I tried flying around up and down, backwards, forwards, left and right, everything to try and find out what the real differences were. And everybody is personal preference really. But on mine, to get a smoother flight and to get something that I enjoyed, I chose these settings. I found that the throttle control up and down was okay, and I just wanted a little bit less sensitive on the right stick, a little bit more positive movement before I had any movement. If I was doing any close quarter flying, it would be a little easier. So I chose these settings, and it worked out pretty good. But again, everybody has personal preferences, but these are the ones I chose. Okay, so what have we learned? Well, the update 1.0.9 that Fimi put out did improve the waypoints calculation algorithms. Okay, so now you do get the correct distance and timing for each one of your flights. Uh, when you do recall the waypoint history, you maintain its original heights. And Fimi did change the sensitivity default settings to 60% rather than 50%. I'm not quite sure why they did that, but it's just something I did notice. And I don't know if it was this particular update or not. I don't think so. It's probably always been this way, that the Android and iOS systems have different screen appearances in the order in which they have things arranged. So yeah, that's about it. So the update to the update, they did some good things, and if you alter your sensitivity settings, I think the only one that you're really going to notice a difference in is if you change your yaw distance down to 20%, 25%. It'll slow your yaws down a bit. Uh, Changing the expo settings, you may or may not notice any difference. So give it a try. It's all personal preference, and those were the settings that I found worked best. And yeah, so far it's a little better than expected. Okay, so this update did include a few things that actually worked, and let's see what happens in the future. Okay, thanks for staying with me. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.